Hello, my name's Gunther,
My name's Meg,
and
and
we
we
make
make
video
video
games.
games. So, Gunther, how long have you been working in video games?
I started in 2012, and I've been working in games since.
I have been working in games for 3 years, I believe.
So, what's your favorite part about working in the game industry?
I think my favorite part is when I work on a game that people actually play and then I hear fans' feedback online. What about you?
My favorite part is definitely the people because everyone you work with is a gamer, and it's super easy to get along with them.
Yeah, video games. So, Gunther, how did you get started on this career?
I actually started with web development when I was a lot younger, and then I found tools like Game Maker, and eventually, by the time I was ready for college, I chose video gaming as a major. How about you?
Well, I always knew I wanted to be an animator, but I thought I wanted to work in movies because I always saw Disney and Pixar movies and thought they were just the best. But then after college, somebody offered me a job animating dragons, and I can't turn that down, so that's how I got into the game industry.
So, what's your particular part in making games?
So I am a concept artist and animator, which means I get to draw all the characters and then bring them to life through animation. What about you?
I'm a software engineer, so I collaborate with designers to bring their visions to life and make them actually work on the computer. So, what activities related to your career did you do when you were younger?
When I was in elementary school, obviously art class was my favorite class, and I was always doodling. I would get my math homework, and the teacher I would circle all my doodles because I had little drawings of them and little drawings of my classmates and all kinds of little silly creatures and monsters drawn all over my homework. And sometimes I got in trouble for it, but it was always worth it because I knew I wanted to be an artist. What about you?
For me, I just always had an interest in computers themselves, and it wasn't until high school that I actually started doing anything involving coding, but I just always had that technical background.
So, Gunther, what would be like your ultimate project that you would love to work on?
My dream project would involve a small team, so I have lots of input, working from home because it's where I'm most comfortable, and then a game where players get to express themselves and create things that they feel like are their own. How about you?
Well, my favorite things to draw and animate are birds and dragons, obviously, and creatures and all those kinds of things. So I definitely want something with like a big open world, lots of nature scenes, lots of different cartoony creatures jumping around, and really make it like lots of fun, super colorful. So, what do you think younger people can do if they know they want to work in video games?
I think the first step would be figuring out what part of games interests them the most, if it's the technical, the design, the art aspects, and then using the limitless tools on the internet to really dive into those communities. Things like Code Academy can really help a young programmer learn, and small communities like game jams and even the game dev subreddit have a lot of resources for people to get started with no experience.
I would just say maybe think about the kind of games that you like to play and think about the kind of games that you wish existed and then maybe write about them, draw out your characters, draw out your environments, think about how that character would move and how you would interact with it. The more ideas you can come up with when you're young and your brain is fresh, the better. And then you can keep those ideas and bring them in when you eventually do work in the video game industry and you can make that game real.
So, what would you say inspires you?
There's so many things that inspire me. One of my original inspirations when I was younger was all my favorite animated movies because I loved animated movies like The Little Mermaid, and I love Zootopia, and I love Kiki's Delivery Service and all the Miyazaki films. But these days, I'm more inspired by all the little fun, silly things that happen in our everyday lives, like watching birds hop around and the way different animals move really inspires me. Nature always inspires me. What about you?
For me, I'm just continually inspired by the independent game developer community. Some games are built by massive groups of hundreds of people, and others could just be built by one or two people, and I always find that fascinating.
The last thing we want to tell you is what our favorite thing about Miss Kaplan is. Gunther, what's yours?
My favorite thing is that she's incredibly genuine, and you can always guarantee she's being honest with you.
Mm-hmm. I really like her sense of humor and how silly she can be and how much she clearly cares about her art class and her classroom.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, I hope you learned a lot about the video game industry and I hope you have a great art class.